I enjoy abstract strategy games, and I enjoy Seikatsu. Seikatsu is a very attractive abstract strategy game. Now, usually abstract strategy games, they're two-player games. This one, just like in Genius, you can play with more players too, which is another abstract strategy game I really enjoy by Reiner Knizia. But we're talking about Seikatsu now. Seikatsu, you can play with 3 players, which is pretty cool. It's the way the board is set up. Okay. Now, the components here are just gorgeous. You have a board, which I'll show you the board. The board is nice, you know. It's hard for me to open the board while I'm here, but anyway, you know, you got the board. But I'll show you more about this board in a second. So it's a nice board, you know, it's a nice board. But really what's nice about this is these bird tiles. Bird and flower tiles, these bake-like tiles. Look at this. You can just hear the birds. You can hear them sing. Isn't that nice? Look at this one. Can you hear that? Birds. Gorgeous little tiles, and let me tell you, they're just a joy to play with. A joy to play with. Well, gee, Alex, there's birds and there's these flowers around there. Yeah, because you're going to score points with the birds as you place them on the board. And then at the end of the game, when the board's all filled up with birds, you're going to score points with the flowers. So let me get into that. Oh, you got these koi pond tiles as well. Koi pond tiles are, you know, they're neutral tiles. At the end, when you score the flowers. Okay, let me show you this. Let me show you this. So you have the board there, right? If you're blue, you're scoring the flowers from this perspective. If you're pink, you're scoring the tiles from this perspective. If you're green, you're scoring them from that perspective. So each player has their own perspective. You can play this solo, by the way, okay, for points. And 2 players. Played it many times, 2 players. Works wonderfully. And as 3 players. Works wonderfully. Now you have to think, right? Because as you're placing tiles on the board, these bird tiles, you might be benefiting your opponent. If you're pink, you have to consider what's going on this side here. Because how do you score points? Well, on the board here, there's a score track around there. Okay? As you can see here. Right? There's a score track there. So that's points you're going to get during the game by placing these cute little bird tiles adjacent to other similar birds. So this blue bird here, if I place a tile next to another blue bird, then I score. I score for this one, and I score because it creates a little flock of birds. Can you hear them sing? It creates a little flock of birds. So however many you can get together in the same color, you're going to be scoring multiple points for that. So if I place one little blue bird next to another blue bird tile, I score 2 points. I score 1 point for this one and 1 point for the one that's next to this one. So those are points you're getting during the game, but then at the end of the game, when the board is filled with birds, because that's when the game ends, you're going to score points on flowers that you have from your perspective. So the koi, right? You're going to, by the way, score points for the largest group of flowers that you have on that aisle there, right? So let me see if I can show you this board. It's always so awkward to show you these boards because I'm not on a table, you know, I'm just sitting here. So you see that? Let's say we're green. We're going to have birds all the way up here, right? Well, we're going to be looking at the flowers. So whatever the biggest group of flowers that I have here, because like I said, the birds you're going to be scoring throughout gameplay and going up on this track. At the end of the game, it's the flowers from your perspective, and you score the highest group of flowers that you have there, okay? And as per the rules here, there's the scoring, right? If you have one flower of a kind on that whole row, that's it. Well, you're only going to score 1 point. And yeah, because that's off on the side and there's only like little four spaces, I think. 3 or 4 spaces on the side. What's the limit there on the side? Excuse me a second. Well, on the corners you have 4, right? On the little corner there, you have only 4. So maybe you're only going to have one type of flower there. If that's the case, you score 1 point. If you have 2 equal flowers on there, you score that, and so on and so forth. So your goal, as you're playing the game, you got to be careful where you're placing your little birds and your flowers, because you're looking at your opponent from their perspective, how many points they're going to be getting at the end of the game. It's the most amount of flowers you have from your perspective, right? And the koi here works as a wild. So if I have, let's say, 3 blue flowers, this koi here gives me an extra one. So now I have 4 on that one track. And if I have 4, I'm going to score 10 points right there. If I have 4 of the same flowers. So, gorgeous tiles to play with. Interesting abstract strategy game. Okay? Because, you're scoring points as you're playing, but you're scoring also points at the end. You got to pay attention to what your opponent is doing. Comes in this bag here, because all the tiles are going into this bag, and you're going to be pulling tiles out throughout the game. And you're going to have tiles in your hand, and you're going to decide which ones you want to play where, keeping all that stuff in mind. And yeah, it's a game that I really enjoy playing. It's a beautiful game. I've never played this game with somebody who didn't think this was beautiful. And everybody loves these bird tiles. Everybody loves it. Okay? Everybody. So it's an attractive game. It's a competitive game. It's a fun game. And you can play it solo for points, which is a joy. You just handle these tiles and you're just, playing the game. Seikatsu, a joy.